Hey guys, so tonight I'm working on tuning the carburetors for my bike. I cleaned them a couple of days ago and I had them entirely apart, so I removed the pilot screws and everything, put them back together. This set of carbs that's on here wasn't original to the bike, so when I pulled it apart, I drilled out the EPA plugs and cleaned the pilot screws. I set them back to where they were, but because they weren't on this bike, they're not right. Carbs are back on, I've got it running and I've synchronized them, and so now I need to set those pilot screws. I've had really good luck using wideband O2 sensors to tune carburetors. And so in this video, I kind of want to show you how I do that. You don't really need a lot of stuff to use this approach. You'll need a wideband air fuel gauge, and this one is made by AEM. It's the kind of gauge you stick on the A-pillar of your car. The gauge came with the wideband oxygen sensor, and what I did is I wired on a pair of ring terminals so I could just slip it right onto the battery. And so when I'm doing this, the battery powers the gauge and it powers the heater inside the oxygen sensor. The other thing you'll need are oxygen sensor bungs on your exhaust headers. You'll need one for each cylinder you have. And on my bike it's 4-cylinder, so I've had to add 4 oxygen sensor bungs. I added them in roughly the same place as the factory's original tune ports, and I did it with the headers on the bike so that I was sure I had enough clearance. So if you've got the gauge and you've got the oxygen sensor bungs, and it's really all you need. And I want to kind of walk you through the process and show you what I do and how it works. So I've installed the wideband O2 sensor. It's in the pipe for the number 2 cylinder. And I've got the gauge powered on. You can see it's not reading right now because there's no fuel, so we're incredibly lean. But I'm going to start the bike, we'll see what this looks like, and then I'll adjust the pilot screws until we start to get within that band. So the way I'm going to adjust the air fuel settings is I'm going to watch the gauge, and with the engine running, I'm going to turn the pilot screws with a screwdriver here. And you can see them, I've got access for all 4. 1, 2, and the other side 3 and 4. Turning these in makes the mixture more lean, or it turns that gauge towards 16. Backing them out makes it more rich, or it turns that gauge closer to 11 or 12. So you'll see me here in a minute. I'm going to start the bike up and we're going to watch that gauge. And what I'll do is, if the gauge reads on the lean end, I'll richen the mixture. And if it reads on the rich end, I'll lean the mixture. And my goal is to get us down into that high 13, low 14 range. So I have the O2 sensor installed. It's installed in the pipe for the number 2 cylinder. I'm going to start the bike and we'll see what reading the air fuel gauge gives us. This is a 4-cylinder bike and it's air cooled, so the inner cylinders 2 and 3 tend to run a little hot. So I like to run those slightly rich. I'm going to start it up, we'll see what we get, and then I'm going to turn the pilot screws either inward or outward until I get a reading somewhere in that range. So I'm going to call that good for this cylinder. We'll go through, we'll do all 4 cylinders, and then we'll probably come back and do them a second time. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to move over to number 3 and we'll do that, and that'll take care of the 2 inside cylinders. And then we'll move to 1 and 4, which will give us the outside cylinders. I've moved the sensor now, we're on the number 3 cylinder. Keep an eye on the air fuel gauge down on that box there. I'll start it up and we'll see how it runs. I'm on the other side of the bike now, and I have the O2 sensor in cylinder number 4. I'm going to start it up, we'll see what the gauge does, and then I'll make some adjustments. Alright, so this one started out, it was pretty lean, so I richened it up quite a bit. And you can already tell that with these 3 cylinders I've done so far, it's starting to sound a lot better. So I'm going to now switch over, we're going to do cylinder number 1, and then we'll see how it sounds, how it revs, and if everything sounds good we'll call it. Otherwise I'll probably go back through and do the cylinders all again a second time. So the O2 sensor is now in cylinder 1. I'm going to start the bike up, keep an eye on the gauge, and we'll see what we've got. I've been through all 4 cylinders. I set them somewhere between the high 13s, low 14s. When I got all 4 pretty good, the idle rose quite a bit, so I had to slow it down and set the idle speed. Now that that's done, I want to go back through and I want to just double check, see what they're at, and if they're high or low. I want to set them to be all in the like high 13s, low 14s. So I'm going to go back through and do that. I'll share with you what I find for each one. And then once that's done, I want to swing the camera back and show you kind of what it sounded like before I did this and what it sounded like after I did this. Alright then, I think we're done. I'm happy with the way it sounds right now. I'm probably going to leave those headers on here for a little bit. Drive around the neighborhood or whatever, make sure I'm happy with it, and then I'll put these guys back on. Before I wrap this one up, I did want to show you the before and after videos. So this is what it sounded like before. And this is the same, relative position of what it sounded like after tuning with the wideband. I think the difference there is just amazing. So I hope you enjoyed this video, hope you got something from it. And if you did, would you leave me a comment, let me know, maybe hit that subscribe button. It would be really appreciated. And with that, I'm going to say thank you for watching.